Hey, what's going on guys, Aaron James here, and today we are playing Song of Horror. Today, or should I say tonight, it is 11:30 after all. This game is quoted to be a truly dynamic terror experience. Now, I have played a bit of this. It was originally mainly for testing. I did try to record something, but something went wrong. I've lost the recording, so I do know what I'm doing for the first bit or so of this game. So, does it live up to its its quote? I don't know, I can't say for certain, for definite. So what does it mean by saying dynamic terror experience? Well, the antagonist of this game, known as the Presence, which is this entity, this darkness that follows you around, messes with you. It's controlled by an AI, and now I know what you're thinking. Apparently it says it changes down to like things that you do, adapts. I can't say for certain if I've noticed that. I only played as one character, well, two characters. You start off with one to get the gist of the story, and then you get a choice of 4 characters. So what is the story? Well, to begin with, you play as Daniel, who is an assistant to an editor of a publishing company. Now, this publishing company haven't heard from their head writer, a guy by the name of Sebastian P, for a few days, and they basically send Daniel to his house to find out where he is, what's going on. When Daniel gets to the house, everyone's disappeared and the front door's open. But before we get into it, I'd just like to say one of the things that I did like about this game, looking through the settings, is the difficulty levels. Now, I don't know who the first person is, but the other two are obvious. If you're into your horror games or your horror stuff, you would have heard these two names, but I thought that was quite fun.
Home sweet home.
Right, so this is Daniel, and this is Daniel's apartment. Now, you sort of get the gist from all these points, the sort of game that it's going to be. Now, this to begin with is just to give you the basic idea of the game and how it works. How you look at objects, interact with them. Radio up there, there's nothing really of any importance in terms of what he's looking at. But we do have to look around this area. It's better to do this first. You don't have to look into the bathroom, but next we go into Daniel's office.
Oh, crikey, seriously?
Now, the one thing I will say to begin with is that the controls do seem a bit clunky at times. Not really tank controls, I wouldn't go that far, but
Well, I guess I should answer
it
that.
can be, yeah, it's a stop, and like when you want to turn it, he basically stops and turns. It's not quick or fluid. which maybe adds to the whole sort of terror experience, like not being able to so dynamically control your character.
Hello.
Daniel, it's me, Etienne. Hey, we've got a bit of a major emergency going on here.
Oh, you're joking. Friday evening, and there's an emergency?
This is serious business. Sebastian Husher is nowhere to be found, and his manuscript should have been at the office by Tuesday. He won't answer his calls, and he hasn't shown up at his office at the university. He's vanished into thin air.
Oh, don't screw with me, Etienne. Call him on Monday or send a courier for him. I just got in the door less than 5 minutes ago.
I go myself, but I've got to attend Albert's performance in half an hour. Plus, Husher's house is closer to your place than it is to mine. Come on, man. The sooner you go, the sooner you'll get back home.
You're going to owe me a big fat favor.
Whatever you want. Write this down. 4 Abbott Thomas Road, in the old housing developments along Highway EB-15.
EB-15? Good God, that's out in the sticks. I plan to take a few days off after this.
Well, we'll talk about that once you find him. Oh, and if he gives you the manuscript, don't show it to anyone. And don't go selling it off to the highest bidder.
I'll see what I can do. We'll ring you up when I get back.
Thanks, Dan. You're saving my skin.
Again. Another Friday evening and I'm working as an errand boy. I suppose they're too important over at Wake Publishers to come looking for jolly old Husher themselves. Shit. Even I should be too important for that. Though I mustn't overstretch my complaints. Rising from my lot as a drunkard and financial ruin to that of an errand boy is actually quite an improvement. If only things had gone a bit better for the company, or I'd got on the wagon a bit sooner. Damn, Sophie did the right thing when she divorced me. I would have divorced myself in her place. Daniel Neuer, the bloody alcoholic. Chin up, you. That is Daniel Neuer, the bloody ex-alcoholic, after all. Wake Publishers employee by day, Wake Publishers screwed over lackey by evening. Even Friday evenings. But if I could find Husher, I have a feeling my status at the company would rise quite a bit. After all, he is the publishing firm's biggest star. Let's cross our fingers and hope he's home.
Oh, poor Daniel, but unfortunately, no one is home. Again, now we begin, and this is Sebastian Husher's house. Looks quite nice, to be fair, for apparently being out in the sticks. But it can't be a good sign that the door's open. Jeez.
Is that music? I'd better take a look.
Feels like a typical horror trope. Oh, can hear this weird noise. Oh, scary music. Oh, a spooky creak. Let's go and investigate. What's the worst that could happen? So, yes, as it says on screen, each character has their own light source. Turn it off with right trigger or click the right stick. And you can point it in a direction using the right stick. It'll allow you to illuminate specific areas and also helps interact with objects that might not be right in front of your character. Light source will never run out. Use it as much as you need. I have to hold hay to this. So yeah, it's I do like this, the fact that you can independently control the flashlight. And like I said, it's something that you, if you want to look at a certain item, you do need to point it in that direction. Now, there is not much that we can look at this point, and like I said there, look, it won't let me look at it unless I'm looking down. So I can't go upstairs, it'll basically just turn you around, so your only option is to go through this way. Looking around, interested in music from the looks of it. Now that didn't happen before, he didn't play it before. But the music isn't coming from here. Let's just have a quick look around to see what we've got. So, history and art magazines. Looks like Sebastian was a bit of a hunter as well. Or maybe just... yeah, he probably just bought it. Now, we can't really do much in here either, but just to show you things that sort of play out later on in the game. Drawer is jammed shut. That's one of the things where we will actually need to do something. The rest of these just talk about books that are on the shelves. The globe, he says about his grandkids paying for it. Yeah. So our next port of call is dining room. Again, yeah, there's not much that we can actually do in this room. Places that we can look at. Dirty mirror, some photos on the wall. But for the moment, it always points you in the one direction. Just to begin the game off. So found an example item, expected to gain information by pressing A. To examine the backside, use the right stick to rotate. You can access the inventory or collected documents by pressing the L, the left bumper and right bumper respectively. So first letter from Isaac Faber. Now these letters talk about Sebastian gaining the music box from this guy. So this first letter, Isaac talks about, you know, finding this box, not being able to find any information about it, but the melody is something that he's never heard before, and yet again, it's something that he can't find any information about, but he can't get it out of his head. So he sends it to Sebastian in the hopes that he can find something out about it. The light says, would you be willing to help me find any clues regarding this box and its mysterious melody? P.S. I've also enclosed the little information I managed to find out about said box, which isn't actually in here.
Interesting. What the? How
But,
can there be a door there?
Yeah, a bit of a weird thingy there, weird door. Doesn't seem to match up with the architecture of this place, I'd say. But you know what we have to do, guys. Now, you can, you know, you should get this game because I do think it's quite good and you can explore to your content, but like I said, this first part there's little to see. We're just gonna have to send Daniel down a dark stairway and we're not gonna see him again. At least for a while, perhaps.
Hardly taken a step forward when I heard the door close behind. When I turned around, the door wasn't there anymore, and all that was left of it was a strange shadow on the wall. I searched. I despaired. And I screamed until my throat began to burn. The candles started to run out, as did the batteries in my torch. From within the most suffocating darkness, The hours went by until turning into days, and I began to fall in and out of a restless sleep. I would hear voices, sometimes right next to me, other times a few yards away. It seemed like they were coming from the other side of the wall. Desperate cries, howling in horror, and sometimes, the worst of all, a vast, oppressive silence would fall, seeming to emanate from everywhere and nowhere all at once. There was nobody there, just hallucinations, nightmares, black nothingness, and the song from that music box. Trapped in this impossible place, I wondered if I was going to die there.
Well, if I'm any good, hopefully you won't. Seems a bit of thinky to leave it on if they're just going to kill him off.
Etienne, do you have any news on Daniel yet?
Oh, Sophie. No. We've been calling him at home all day, but there's no response. Do you know if he's got a mobile phone?
No, I don't think so. And if he does, he doesn't tend to keep it on him.
Oh, man. I think I should pass by the Husher place when I leave, just to see if they know anything.
Husher the writer? Your client?
Yeah. I sent Daniel over there on Friday, and I haven't heard from him since.
What's the address? I'm going to stop by Daniel's place, and if I don't find him, I can go around and ask about him.
The house on the outskirts of town, on Highway EB-15. Number 4, Abbott Thomas Road. It's a big house.
Okay. I'm headed over. Call me if you find him.
Of course. Same to you.
So now we get a choice of 4 characters. Now this is Sophie, the first one, who you just saw is the ex of Daniel. Now each character has their own light source, so hers is a candle. They have their own sort of special item as such. Hers is a scented candle, which I believe is sort of like it says, to make a calmer with like the presence messing around with the head. They have their own stats as well. So for her, what I played of her, she's actually really good at resisting the presence, so to speak. So it does sometimes have to do more of a straight-on assault at her. I also played a bit with Etienne, who is our next character, and he gets affected. He's not so bad, but I saw it a bit more with him getting affected, and yeah, you can hear like a heartbeat when things start to happen. He definitely got more worked up. But yeah, like I said, they each have their own set of stats, so strength's not necessarily her strongest point, but it's not weak. Etienne, strength, he's better off with that. His item is a note folder, so I'm guessing you can sort of write clues down there, or clues will just pop up when you find something specific. Alexander Laskin, now he is one of the Husher's well, it says housekeepers there. Him and his wife. Now wasn't at the house, but his wife was, so he's traveling back to the house at this point. That's where his sort of story starts. He's the worst off in terms of, it says serenity, and I believe that's what it's sort of like about how the presence affects you, whether it's easily sort of messes with you or not. Strength is his best point, and he's the strongest out of all the other characters. For his item, we have a metal hip flask. Take a good swig from the flask to soothe your nerves when danger lurks. Always worked for me. So again, it's sort of like Sophie, but he's a drinker. Now our last character, who is one that doesn't necessarily actually have a connection to the story as such. I think she's like thrown in there as being like, you know, the unwitting sort of person like drawn into this terror. But she is a technician for a security company. Her item is a walkie-talkie. I'm guessing it says it picks up a lot of weird interference. I'd say it sort of gives you a bit more forewarning about when the presence is near. There are mechanics that we'll get into when they get into the game. For her, Serenity is the worst. Speed, stealth, not too bad. Strength's alright. So, like I said, they each have their own light source. So, Alina had a flashlight just like Daniel. Laskin and Sophie have a candle, and Etienne has a lighter. Now, one of the things about this game is that each one of these characters can die. When they die, that's it. And you pick up from whichever character you choose next. You can pick up the deceased character's items that you pick up. And apparently, if all of the characters are killed, you have to actually start the episode over again. So the bit we played with Daniel was just a introduction